Good morning.
Good morning. This is August 3rd, Meditation Reflections. Welcome.
Monday.
Yeah.
Welcome.
And we have, looks like good weather today, partially cloudy and not too windy, so be able to get some work done outside today.
Yes. Looking forward to.
I got some concrete work to do. Ooh.
The floor is going into the barn building, which is good.
Yeah.
Or, well, at least the start of it, driveway right now.
Yeah.
Work out the chemistry. Fascinating process.
Yeah. Anyway, good meditation
Meditation.
this morning.
True.
And we had a good discussion afterwards, and we covered lots of different things. Start a little bit, and we'll go back and forth. Anyway, at the beginning of mine, I was connecting to lots of different North American mammals. I kind of miss them here. We don't have many mammals here. And in particular, the first animal I connected with was actually a mink. And the first time I saw a mink in the wild was in Idaho. We were camping, and it was, wow, the most beautiful thing was it had its summer black coat on, and it's just a beautiful creature trying to hide from me because it knew that I had seen it, and it was
It's along the edge of the river. It was hunting for breakfast. And
yeah, as was I.
Yeah,
fishing for trout, and yeah, it was just a beautiful creature to see. And I connected with several other North American mammals. I guess kind of miss them. We have a few here, but anyway, beginning of it, and it's basically about connecting with nature, and we don't do that enough. Many people live in the cities. They don't even enjoy the parks enough. I mean, that's the reason parks are there, is to give you a bit of city in
a little bit of nature.
Nature in the city. So go out, if you don't have a lot of access to nature, get out into the parks, and or just outside at least, and talk to a tree or whatever. And that's the reason we have pets as well. We're bringing a little bit of nature into our house through dogs and cats and birds and lizards and other things.
And feeding the birds outside. Of course, we're speaking to friends in the northern hemisphere as well. You guys are enjoying summer, so really get out there and enjoy that because it's marvelous. We're still in winter, but we have these occasional pleasant days, which are nice.
Yeah.
That kind of discussion or connection leads animals function by instinct. I was thinking that our cats don't really like visitors, and anything strange and new is not to be trusted, and that's a natural instinct. But because our behavior is constantly friendly, has interesting food, and express interest towards them as individuals, over the years we have a very friendly, so we're the exception humans that we're worth talking with and coming and seeing, and they spend a lot of time just watching what we're doing. They sit outside the window and look in the house like we're something interesting to watch.
Yeah, so they sit out on the deck and they look like they want to come in, and you open the door and they just sit there.
I'm sure we just are kind of like, how in the world would you do that? What they're doing, but that's a kind of connection, and you think about that, and it turned the discussion towards symbols, because we get approached by a lot of symbols in our culture, and a lot of people, symbols mean this. Not quite. If you study the history of symbols, you'll find that most symbols carry a story or an understanding, and their power is built up by the number of people who know the story and understand the story. And that is where you get that resonant power off of symbols. Some symbols have had both a positive and a negative life, which the swastika, the Star of David, whether the Star of David is upside down or right side up, point up, or the swastika is spinning left or it's spinning right. Spinning right, it's the positive symbol of the Native Americans and also of India.
Yeah.
If it's spinning left, it's the Nazi symbol. So the poor symbol had two natures, but it's what you believed about it. So the power of symbols is actually in the intention of the people looking at it. The other half of this history of symbols because I found studying iconology very interesting, is we can see the duality and we can see that it's an artificial construction and we can make choices, and that's the actual point of power.
Yeah.
The belief in the light and the recognition that the shadow may be part of those understandings that you have to choose.
We get caught up in duality so often. This is right, that's wrong, and for some people there's no in between. It's just one or the other. But we have to evolve beyond that and kind of look at both sides of the picture and try not to be judgmental until you have enough information to make, if a decision needs to be made, to have sufficient information to make a good decision rather than base it on memory, on prejudice, on limited information, or even misinformation. And because a lot of people run their lives through what they've been taught rather than what they feel. They'll trust their mind, even their culture can be misleading because
culture is only a type of ancestral memory.
Yep.
And people function off of that ancestral memory and they think of it as permanent. But a lot of times later on we realize, well, that's not really permanent.
Yeah.
Sorry, but some of you have met me and know that I am a very tall woman. Actually, as a young person, I was 6'2". And, you know, the stereotype, all women are small, and then I'm looking the guy in the eyes. And it was kind of like, well, genetically, it's a 50-50 chance who's going to get the height. And so there's not a rule that predicts the size of women, though I would say a lot of women are small. But it's the black swan is the exception to all swans are white. There is a black swan. So there are exceptions, and it's that diversity that the universe is actually fascinated by. It makes all these little varieties of things. And so knowing what the intention is and seeing if you actually agree with it, or if you think it's just an artificial construction that somebody tried to make into a hard law.
Yeah. Well, like many people believe snakes are a symbol of evil. When I was growing up, I used to go out and catch them, and I didn't kill them. I
studied them?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell one short story real quickly. I caught a pretty good size, it's about a 5-foot-long gopher snake, and this would happen in California. I think I was about 10 years old. And I was up in the hills, and I carried it out of the hills. I had it wrapped around my neck, and the snake calms down once they feel your body heat. I knew this from watching a lot of nature shows. So they calm down, and they like your body heat, and I was carrying it along. And on the way home, I saw a half a dozen other kids standing around a tiny little black snake, non-poisonous, and they were just clubbing the hell out of it with sticks and rocks and I just kind of shook my head and kept walking. And
did they notice that you had a snake around your
yes,
neck?
they could not have noticed. And they just kind of looked at me and didn't say or do anything, and I just kept going. And I hope some of those boys remembered what they saw there and hopefully learned something from it.
It is the people who will look for those exceptions and look at the reality that does help change everybody's opinion about something.
Yeah.
And you do have to watch and study till you see the truth. And snakes do have a very bad rep, but they're also very necessary for an environment because they take care of the rodents.
Yeah.
If there's an overpopulation and insects, most people don't realize they actually eat a lot of insects.
And snakes also have a very positive symbolism in the caduceus. They'll have snakes going up a staff and
healing. Left and right of healing.
Yep. Exactly.
Which is interesting. So I guess the message that was coming through is discernment, judge. A lot of times you have to study something till you see the truth of it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn about it.
Look at both sides.
Look at both sides. And on the snakes, look at the shape of the head, because that's going to give you the information. Being from Texas, we had the poisonous and the positive ones. And I plenty of times picked up the little positive ones. They were great fun. And you're right, they calm down if you're holding them. That's also true of a horny toad.
And later on, I did talks with holding a snake and talking about...
Oh, that's right, the boa constrictor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the boa constrictor, but he got to be on the science, was it twice a day? Or once a day he'd come out of his,
like that, yeah.
and the kids could see it, and it was calm, and he was perfectly happy being held.
Yeah.
And
no problems.
And this was set up by the Seattle Science Fair, and it was a traveling version, and it went all around the country so kids could learn.
I got to do that for a while, so that was a lot of fun. Anyway, we should end it for today, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Blessings upon you.
Blessings.